one of the things that really holds them back from growth is just being stuck in indecision. And that is, I think it's primarily based in fear.
Sure.
Whenever we're afraid to make a decision, it's because we're afraid of the outcome.
Yep.
And I talk on the podcast a lot about how the outcome that you fear of achieving is exactly what you're going to get when you don't take the action that you're afraid of. So, but I'm curious to know, what's your expert knowledge on making decisions? You wrote a whole book on it. What's happening here with indecision, and how do we as business owners approach decisions from a different way so that we can do a better job of not getting stuck when you're on a time frame like, okay, I'm going to get this done this quarter, and then I get stuck with the first decision I need to make, and now I'm sitting on that for 2 weeks. Well, I'm not getting this done in this quarter because I just delayed it by 2 weeks. So it really slows us down from moving the needle forward in our business growth.
100%. You hit the nail on the head. And really, to me, as much as we brought up the first book, Power of Playing Offense, you said, let's focus on the latest. They're inextricably linked. And here's how. So when you go back to the lab and naturally people come up to you and say, what do people that play offense do that those that play defense don't? And I mean this at an individual level, a team level, an organizational level, a cultural level. And my team and I went back to the lab and we really researched this, both in the trenches, in our consulting practice, even me hosting my podcast. Like, I was really trying to identify, like, how do I distill this down to a couple of key themes? And here's where we landed. Those that play offense are highly decisive. They are extremely comfortable with imperfect action. They're not outcome-based. They're action-based. And because of that, they don't fall victim to the silent killer of indecision. Because here's what the research says, and this is kind of scary. Today, every single person listening to this, including you and I, we're each going to make 35,000 decisions in a day. The average adult makes 35,000 decisions in a day. Now, yes, most of them on autopilot. But then there's those critical few that truly, like, if you were to audit your past, and I say, all right, Moshe, let's play a game here. Audit your past, brother, for better or worse. The decisions you've made relative to career, job, health, relationships. Show me the quality of your decisions. I'll show you the quality of your life. And none of us are immune from that. So we make so many decisions. They've got such high stakes and consequence. And then I ask people, well, what's your process? What's your system? You have to have one if there's such significance and value in it. And very rarely do I get a concrete answer. Some people say, oh, well, I measure risk versus reward, logic and emotion, and all that. And I'm like, oh, cool. So you do that for all your big decisions? And then I get a blank stare. So I realized that there's a big gap in the market. And that's why for every legal owner and beyond out there, that's why decision fatigue is a thing. That's why decision overwhelm is a thing. That's why paralysis is a thing. We all struggle with indecision. And my theory is, you said fear, and I think that's right. I think fear, risk, uncertainty, anxiety, the unknown, the consequence, the worrying too much what other people are going to think. Every decision in the moment feels so massive. But then if we go forward 5 days, 5 weeks, 5 months, eventually it won't matter. But in the moment, we freeze and we're paralyzed. And so my theory is that unless people have a go-to process or system, they're not going to consistently make better decisions faster. You might get lucky and we might have some positive outcomes to share, but I wrote the book because I wanted a decision-making solution that could scale. So whether you're running a 3-person practice, a 30-person practice, or a 3,000-person practice, every single person in your firm can make better decisions faster. And the process is very simple to understand. This is the how-to. This is the application for making better decisions faster. I call it the head, heart, hands equation. Head is your mindset. Heart is your authenticity. That's your truth. And then hands are action. The equation is head plus heart equals hands. In other words, when deciding whether to use your hands, whether to take action, there's 2 checkpoints, head and heart. Head, do I think it's a good idea? Heart, do I feel it's a good idea? And just like every intersection that you drive up to, there's a very familiar signal to use here. When your head and heart are on board, it's a green light. 100% of the time, head and heart are in, take action. No head, no heart, red light. And when one of the two, head or heart, is on board, that's a yellow light. So I wrote Better Decisions Faster to fill our firm, our career, our lives, our teams with more green lights. Now that we're aware, let's stop running reds. And here's the playbook for how to navigate the messy middle of yellow.